My hands were shaking as I adjusted the last string of fairy lights around our 12-foot Fraser fir. The house smelled like cinnamon, pine, and the honey-glazed ham I'd been slow roasting since 5 a.m. Everything looked perfect. The table was set for 8. Crystal glasses sparkled. The kids' stockings hung straight. Bing Crosby crooned softly from the speakers. And in 30 minutes, my entire world was going to burn to the ground in front of everyone I loved. I smiled at my reflection in the hallway mirror. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a woman who had spent 8 weeks swallowing poison and pretending it tasted like eggnog. Marcus walked past me carrying another bottle of champagne. "Everything okay, babe?" he asked, kissing my temple like he still had the right. "Never better," I said, voice sweet as the peppermint bark cooling on the counter. "Tonight's going to be unforgettable." He grinned, clueless. He had no idea the doorbell at 7:30 wasn't going to be his pregnant mistress. It was going to be the father of her baby. The man she was actually engaged to. The man I had been emailing for 6 weeks. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really started. To the moment I discovered my perfect life was a beautifully wrapped lie. To 8 weeks ago, when I still believed in forever. It was October 28th. Our 9th wedding anniversary. Marcus Whitmore, Senior VP at SunTrust, the man I'd loved since we were 22 and broke in Athens, Georgia. The man who held me through 3 heartbreaking miscarriages and promised we'd keep trying. The man who still made my stomach flip when he walked through the door. I'd spent all day cooking his favorites: filet mignon, truffle mashed potatoes, that ridiculous $180 bottle of Camus I'd been saving. I wore the red dress he loved, the one that made my green eyes pop. Candles everywhere. Our Buckhead home looked like a Hallmark movie. Then his phone buzzed on the Marble Island while he was upstairs changing. I never snooped. Never. But it kept buzzing. Insistent. Desperate. The preview lit up from someone saved as K. Work. Can't wait to feel our baby kick while you're inside me tonight. Tell her whatever you have to. I need you. My knees buckled. The wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the hardwood. Red wine bled across the floor like the future I'd just watched die. I unlocked his phone. Our anniversary date, of course. The irony made me want to scream. Hundreds of messages, photos, videos I couldn't unsee. Caitlin Everett, 27, blonde, gorgeous. The new junior analyst he'd mentioned exactly once. The one he'd said was sweet but clingy. They'd been sleeping together for 10 months. 10 months of late meetings. 10 months of client dinners in Alpharetta. 10 months while I cried myself to sleep over another negative pregnancy test. And the worst part? She was 22 weeks pregnant. With twins. My husband was having the family we'd lost 3 times with her. There were ultrasound photos, texts about names, Ava and Ellie, plans for a house in Serenbe, and the final dagger, a screenshot of a diamond ring on her finger. Caption from Marcus: "Soon, baby. Once I figure out how to leave without losing everything." I stood in the wreckage of red wine and broken glass and felt something inside me snap. Not break. Snap. Like ice cracking on a frozen lake. When Marcus came downstairs in his navy suit, smiling that same smile that used to melt me, I smiled back. I smiled through anniversary dinner. I smiled when he gave me pearl earrings. I smiled when we made love and he whispered, "I'm the luckiest man alive." I smiled while I died inside. Then I became someone else. Someone cold. Someone meticulous. Someone dangerous. I hired the most expensive private investigator in Atlanta. I cloned his phone. I went through every bank statement, every calendar entry, every deleted photo. I built a file so thick it needed its own binder. And then I found the Holy Grail. Caitlin wasn't just cheating with my husband. She was engaged to Dr. Ryan Caldwell, a 35-year-old OB/GYN at Northside Hospital. The man who had delivered half my friends' babies. The man whose Instagram was full of proposal photos in Piedmont Park, captions about marrying my best friend, and comments from Caitlin's mother gushing about finally getting grandbabies. Ryan thought the twins were his. He had no idea his fiancé was sleeping with her married boss. He had no idea the woman carrying his babies had been lying for almost a year. So I emailed him from a burner account, with just enough proof to shatter his world. He replied in 6 minutes. We met at a coffee shop in Brookhaven. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. When I slid the folder across the table, he opened it, saw the ultrasound with Marcus's name on the sticky note, saw the texts, saw the photos of Marcus kissing Caitlin's bare pregnant belly. He didn't cry. He went very, very still. Then he looked up at me with eyes that matched the ice in my chest and said, "What do you need me to do?" Phase 1 complete. Fast forward to November 10th. Marcus came home bouncing with nervous energy. We were eating takeout lo mein at the kitchen island. So, he started, twirling noodles like a guilty teenager. I want to talk about Christmas Eve. I raised an eyebrow. Okay, you know how we always do, just family? I was thinking, maybe we open our home this year. Do something bigger. My fork paused. Bigger how? I ran into Caitlin at the office. She's new in town, no family here, and she's pregnant, Like really pregnant. Her fiancé's deployed or something. She's going to be alone on Christmas. I almost choked on lo mein. Deployed. That was the lie she'd fed Marcus about Ryan. I thought it would be the Christian thing to do, he continued, eyes pleading. Invite her. Show her some Southern hospitality. You're always saying we should be more open, more giving. I set my fork down very carefully. Let the silence stretch just long enough for him to sweat. Then I smiled. The biggest, brightest, fakest smile I'd ever worn. Of course, honey. The more the merrier. She can even sit at the head table with us. I'll make her favorite, filet, right? You said she loves filet. The relief on his face was obscene. He grabbed my hand. God, I love you. You're incredible. I squeezed back. Hard. You have no idea. The next 6 weeks were performance art. I cooked. I decorated. I sent Caitlin a sweet text from Marcus's phone, while he was in the shower, welcoming her, asking if the babies were kicking yet. She replied with heart emojis and, "You're so lucky to have a wife who understands." I forwarded everything to Ryan. He replied with a single emoji, a bomb. December 24th arrived. My sister Claire, her husband Matt, and their 3 kids arrived at 4 p.m. Claire took one look at me and knew something was wrong, but I just hugged her and whispered, "Trust me. Sit back and watch." At 6:55 p.m., the doorbell rang. Marcus practically sprinted to get it. I followed slowly, smoothing my red velvet dress, the one with the slit that made me feel like vengeance personified. Caitlin stood on the porch in a cream maternity dress that hugged her perfect 7-month bump, blonde hair in loose waves, looking like a Virgin Mary who moonlighted as an Instagram influencer. She held a poinsettia and a bottle of non-alcoholic sparkling cider. "Emily," she said, voice dripping honey, "thank you so much for having me. This is so kind." I smiled and pulled her into a hug, one hand resting gently on her belly. I felt the twins kick. Merry Christmas, Caitlin. Come in. We're all dying to meet you. Marcus beamed like he'd won the lottery. Dinner was a masterpiece. Prime rib, lobster mac, my grandmother's cornbread dressing. Caitlin sat to Marcus's right, glowing under the chandelier, laughing at all his jokes, touching his arm. Claire kept shooting me death glances across the table. I just raised my glass and toasted to new beginnings. At exactly 7:28, I excused myself to check the dessert. In the kitchen, I texted Ryan, now. Then I walked back in smiling. Before we do pie, I have a little surprise. Marcus frowned. Surprise? I heard Caitlin's fiancé was out of town and she'd be all alone with the babies on Christmas. So I tracked him down and invited him too. He just pulled up. Caitlin went the color of spoiled milk. Marcus's fork froze halfway to his mouth. The front door opened. Footsteps. Heavy. Purposeful. Dr. Ryan Caldwell walked into my dining room in dress blues, looking like a recruiting poster in Murder Incarnate. His eyes locked on Caitlin's belly. Hello, sweetheart, he said, voice calm as a scalpel. Merry Christmas. Caitlin shrieked and tried to stand, knocking over her water glass. Ryan, what are you? How? Marcus stood so fast his chair crashed backward. Who the hell are you? Ryan didn't even glance at him. He walked straight to Caitlin, pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and set it on the table in front of her. Inside was the engagement ring she'd been wearing in all her Instagram photos. The one Marcus didn't know existed. I believe this is yours, Ryan said. Or wait, was it mine? I can't keep track anymore. Then he turned to Marcus. And you're the married boss she's been fucking for 10 months. Congratulations. You're the proud father of my twins. The room exploded. Claire gasped so hard she choked on wine. Matt's jaw hit the table. The kids were thankfully in the basement watching Frozen. Caitlin was sobbing, trying to grab Ryan's arm. Baby, please, it's not what you think. Ryan stepped back like she was contagious. I have ultrasound photos with his name on them, Caitlin. I have 10 months of texts. I have the sonogram video you sent him that you told me got lost in the mail. Marcus looked at me, finally understanding. Emily, you knew? I smiled and raised my phone so everyone could see the screen. A live feed from the baby monitor app. I'd turned on the dining room camera an hour ago. Currently streaming to a private Facebook group titled, Atlanta Mom Truths, No Drama. 487 viewers and climbing. Oh honey, I said softly, I've known since our anniversary. When you were in the shower and she texted you about feeling our baby's kick while you fucked her. I hit play on the compiled video. Hotel receipts. Texts. Photos of Marcus kissing her pregnant belly in our marital bed while I was at my niece's baptism. The entire table watched in horror as their perfect golden couple imploded in 4K. Ryan wasn't done. He pulled out a folder and slid it across the table to Marcus. Paternity test already done. They're yours. Congratulations. You get to pay child support for the next 18 years. And Caitlin? Northside Hospital's ethics board will be receiving this file tomorrow morning, along with the Georgia Medical Board. Caitlin lunged for the folder. Ryan caught her wrist. Don't touch me again. Marcus was ghost white. Emily, please, we can talk. Talk? I laughed. Like how you talked to me when you used our savings for her maternity photos. Or when you bought her a $10,000 stroller with the bonus that was supposed to be our IVF fund. I pulled the final envelope from under the centerpiece and tossed it to him. Merry Christmas, darling. You've been served. Divorce papers. Already filed. fault-based, adultery, dissipation of marital assets, emotional distress. I turned to the table. To new beginnings, I said again, and this time I meant it. Caitlin ran out crying, barefoot in the December cold, leaving her shoes and her poinsettia behind. Ryan looked at me, gave a small nod of respect, and walked out with the dignity of a man who'd just salvaged his future. Marcus stood in the wreckage of prime rib and shattered crystal, divorce papers in his shaking hand. Claire finally found her voice. "Get out of my sister's house before I call the police." He left without a word. 6 months later, the house sold for $1.8 million. I kept every penny. Marcus got the condo in Midtown he'd secretly bought for Caitlin and 100% of the child support bill. Caitlin's engagement photos were replaced with viral videos of her screaming in my driveway. Her job? Gone. Her reputation? Nuclear waste. Ryan sent me flowers on the divorce finalization date. A simple card. "Thank you for giving me my life back." And me? I bought a cottage on St. Simon's Island. I started painting again. Big, bold abstracts in reds and golds. I run on the beach every morning. I laugh louder. I sleep diagonally across the king bed. And every Christmas Eve, I host the most epic girls' night in Georgia. We drink champagne. We burn Marcus's old love letters in the fire pit. We toast to the women who refused to swallow poison quietly. This year, the toast will be extra sweet. Because Caitlin just gave birth to twin girls. And Marcus's first child support payment? It bounced. Merry Christmas, indeed. If this story set your soul on fire, drop a fire below. Tell me your city. Subscribe because the next one is even wilder. And remember, the best revenge is living so well they choke on it. See you in the next life story, Queens. Heart.